Hello and welcome to the Sabbath Cafe podcast. You're listening to episode 111, Reconnecting with God. During COVID lockdown, I reconnected with many friends online. We talked a lot about how they're doing with the changes, and as time went on, I noticed a common theme. Because they couldn't go to church and they couldn't meet up with friends, they felt pretty spiritually isolated. I can certainly understand that, especially when you've been in a spiritual community for a long time. You have a worship team or a choir that brings this beautiful music every week, and the pastors and teachers who brings a great message, and everyone brings their talents, and the whole experience is just wonderful. But when you're suddenly cut off from that, it really throws you off balance. And this also happens at a time when we feel like we need spiritual guidance and encouragement the most. And suddenly we feel like we're cut off from our spiritual support. And someone asked me how I was doing with the changes now that most of the churches around here have gone virtual, have gone online. And I was thinking about it and I realized that God has been transitioning me and my husband for a while now. In the last few years, I've been mainly working on my own personal connection with God, and I've kind of moved away from a community-based spirituality. It's not that having a spiritual community is bad, but I think for most of us, we have been so blessed with our friends and our Christian community that we kind of forgot how to connect with God on our own. Actually, our Christian faith is immensely personal. The essence of the Christian faith is that we don't need any more rituals. We don't need a middle person either, like a pastor or priest. We don't need any more sacrifices or intermediaries. The real good news as Christians is that we can connect with God directly now, simply as who we are, anytime, any place. We don't need to wait for Sundays. We don't even need to go to a building or a temple. Jesus has done all of the work, so we have the privilege to get access to God 24/7, any place, anytime. Not only that, He even gives us the Holy Spirit as our personal spiritual assistant. And this is awesome. We now have an all-access pass to God. The veil is torn. The gate is opened. There's nothing blocking us from God anymore. But even though we know this in our mind, often we can still feel intimidated approaching God by ourselves. And that's what a lot of my friends were feeling. So if you also feel like you don't quite know how to talk to God on your own right now, I have a few tips and activities to help you and God get reacquainted again. And I'll be sharing that in the next few podcasts. And the first tip I want to share with you is to write a letter to God. Sometimes when you haven't talked to someone for a while, it can be very intimidating if you want to call them up out of the blue. And you feel like, this is going to feel so awkward. What do I say? I feel bad that I haven't been in touch. All of these things run through your mind. But when you write a letter, you take that pressure off. Take time to write out your thoughts. You can also go back and delete sections you don't like. In a sense, you have a safe space, and you can still communicate sincerely. So I want to invite you to write a letter to God and share what has been on your heart lately. The key of this exercise is to help you to get comfortable in opening up your heart and sharing with God again. In the beginning, you may feel like you don't know what to say, and that's fine. You don't have to put pressure on yourself. If you don't know what to say, just write that down. Start with that. You can write something like, I don't really know what to say, but I'm taking this first step. Just start with that and write what's on your heart. You may be surprised. So that's the first tip I have for you, is to write God a letter. You can write about your frustration, your fears, Do you have any questions for God? And even who do you want God to be for you in this season? You can use any old piece of paper to do this, but I would recommend that you start writing in a spare notebook. Any notebook will do. It's just something designated as your letters to God, and that can be your private space, a private dialogue just between you and God. Anytime you feel spiritually disconnected, just start writing in that notebook and see how things go. And that's all I have for you for this session. Thanks for listening and enjoy your letter writing. We'll see you next time.